Welcome back. Well, recent developments in the crypto market have put a spring in the industry step, with Bitcoin's value surging past $120,000 and the total market value of the sector reaching $3.8 trillion. We're witnessing unprecedented growth and interest in digital assets. And joining me now to provide further insights into the factors driving this trend is Farzam Ehsani, CEO at Valor.com. Thank you so much for your time, Farzam. Now, the last time I looked at Bitcoin, it had passed the psychological level of $100,000. And in the last week, it surged even higher, even going above $120,000. What has been the wind beneath its wings?
First of all, lovely to be with you. The last few days and this week actually has been called the Crypto Week in the United States. There have been three specific bills that have been up for debate and actually that have passed the House of Representatives in the United States. And this was the Genius Act, which is really regulation about stable coins in the United States. And then the Clarity Act, which provides some much needed clarity for the industry about the digital asset industry overall. So these have passed the House of Representatives. The Genius Act has actually passed the Senate as well and is expected to be signed by the President of the United States this afternoon. So this regulatory clarity, which is something that the United States specifically hasn't had forever, has really come to fruition now. And we expect many other countries to provide much more clarity in this regard. So I think the markets are celebrating that regulatory clarity of the crypto asset industry and the digital asset industry being embraced by more mainstream institutions as well. And this last week, for instance, Citigroup and JP Morgan, two of the largest banks in the world, have come out explicitly stating that stable coins will be part of their strategy. They're considering that, they're exploring that. So this is just some of the developments. And then secondly, there have been Bitcoin treasury companies, which is, companies from the United States all the way to Japan, whose explicit purpose has been to buy Bitcoin and to hold Bitcoin for the expected appreciation of Bitcoin, which has been driving this market. It's important to note. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. You can finish, Farzam.
It's important to know that right now, at about $120,000 per Bitcoin, it hit a high of 123 and it's come back a little bit right now. That the industry itself, is, as you noted, is over 3 trillion, but Bitcoin itself is worth about 2.3 trillion US dollars right now. But to put that into perspective, there are 4 companies that individually are worth more than Bitcoin, right? So that's NVIDIA, Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon. So to put that into perspective, when many people are thinking that Bitcoin may form a bedrock for a future financial system, people are saying, well, wait a minute, there are individual companies right now that are worth much more than Bitcoin. And so people believe that there's a lot more appreciation to come for the Bitcoin space, albeit with a lot of volatility.
Okay, this is very, very interesting. And just honing into one of the points that you made in terms of institutional investor demand and appetite. And actually, we know that really started to flow in when we had the creation or the approval of the Bitcoin ETFs in the US as well. What has, that inflow looked like into the industry? And does it look like at some point we could have maybe more institutional demand and buying than, coming from retail investors?
Absolutely. So the Bitcoin ETFs were approved in January 2024. So it's been about a year and a half. And if you look at the growth of those ETFs, these have been the fastest growing ETFs in history. To give you a little bit of context, what took the gold ETF about 19 years to do as far as build in assets, the Bitcoin industry or the Bitcoin ETF took, I think, about 8 to 9 months. So that just puts into perspective the rate of growth of the crypto industry and that particular ETF. And we are indeed seeing a lot of interest from institutions here in South Africa. Valor itself has signed contracts with 2 of the largest banks in South Africa to provide crypto asset services, and we are in discussions with many more. So I think the interest and the traction that we're seeing across the world, and in particular in South Africa is tremendously impressive. And this is showing in the Bitcoin price.
Yeah, I mean, I hear your point on the strides that we are making on, from a regulatory perspective in the US and also here at home. And obviously, this bodes well for the appreciation of crypto under a Trump presidency specifically because of the regulatory strides. But I'm just thinking in terms of market sentiment, because under a Trump presidency, there's a whole lot more uncertainty and a whole lot more volatility in the macroeconomic environment and also in the financial markets. How then does the crypto market respond to this risk?
Great question. So first of all, important to note that the bills that passed in Congress this week had bipartisan support. So it's not really a Republican thing or a Trump presidency. There was bipartisan support. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
The second thing is in April, when we saw a lot of the tariff volatility to come into play, we also did see some decoupling between Bitcoin and the equity markets, as an example. So, to date, year to date, Bitcoin is the best performing asset, major asset that we have. It's 27% up. It's actually even outstripped gold, which is 26% up year to date.
That's amazing.
So when you think about that, gold has provided a hedge to all the volatility, and Bitcoin has actually surpassed it.
That's actually very, very interesting, Farzam, because I know there's been a lot of focus on gold in terms of institutional appetite. So it's quite interesting to see that actually Bitcoin can also be used as a hedge for risk in the environment. Well, we have run out of time, but thank you so much for your time and for your insights and giving us an update on what has been happening in the crypto market. That was Farzam Ehsani, CEO at Valor.com.